Now, I know some YouTubers have already laid the blame or some of the blame for his death at the feet of the young lady, the girl, his girlfriend, while others have laid the blame at his feet for not being, I guess, man enough or observant enough or whatever to have made a better decision. But one of the things I'd like to dispel, because I've heard several people make the comment, and the notion I'd like to dispel really is that women are like children. I hear that a lot in this space, and I understand the reasoning behind it and why so many men make that assertion. But just because someone seldom takes responsibility for their actions, or they sometimes make decisions that lacks forethought and maybe insight, some people might say, I think much of this is really on the shoulders of men because we perpetuate it. We are the one that always make the claim to insinuate that because they don't think like us and because they don't behave like us and that their reasoning to us appear as though it's childlike or even innocent, that they, women, are unaware of their actions and even the consequences to the actions that they may do. I would say not. I don't think that women are unaware of their actions. I think they're perfectly aware of what they do and what they say and the consequences of those actions. The problem is, most times, as I stated before, most of us men, we tend to negate women of their responsibility to things that they do. And we kind of categorize it as, oh, it's some form of innocence, or because it lacked forethought, it's like a child not looking further down towards the consequences of what might happen. Maybe they did look down the road and knew exactly what would happen. Maybe they just know from history and from centuries of time upon time upon time that they could play on the sensibilities of men to do what we always do. We equate it to the actions of a child, thereby taking away the accountability because children behave in a very similar manner. Therefore, if a woman behaves like a child or seems to do things similar to how a child would do it, or their reasoning imply that they don't think things through. I think different. I think that there are many animals in the wild that mimic the behavior of other animals to seduce their prey. And I think that women can be just as cunning. Just because we as men are not cunning in that way, we're more deliberate, doesn't take away the fact that they think different. Their survival instincts are different than ours. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from the brother. I believe PnB is the name he went by as a rapper. Obviously, the young brother made bad decisions. Going to a location as he did, that particular location, from what I hear, was not a good choice. But the thing is, a woman who cares about a man usually can spot those misguided judgment. Women have good instincts when it comes to danger and when it comes to situations that just don't seem right. Women pick up on stuff that sometimes most men either overlook or just don't see because of our courage and our braveness and maybe even our ego and arrogance. But women in general tend to observe things that we as men tend to overlook. And this, again, is a good reason why it's very important as a man, especially if you are a successful man or you're working towards your success. It's very important that you choose, and I'll emphasize this, that you choose the right woman. Because in some instance, it could be, especially as a black man, and when you're very visible, and when you like to flaunt your success, having a woman with you that actually cares about you is important. Now, I've heard the question stated whether or not some people believe it was her posting that created that situation that led to his demise. And whether or not I believe she's to blame, if not wholly, in part, for his death. My answer to that question is yes. Absolutely. And here's my reason why. They have been together for quite some time. They have a child together, from what I know or have heard. That is a significant amount of time for a woman to get to know a man, his habits, his behavior, reckless or not. And I don't believe that she's a dumb person or a person who doesn't have a clear mind. As I said earlier, women have an uncanny ability to perceive or sense danger. Now, I'm sure this was not their first time going out and hanging out. Since they had a kid together, they've been dating for a while. They know each other. She knows him. She knows more than likely he can be a reckless dude. Maybe he gets into his emotions. Maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder. Maybe he feels he has something to prove. All of those things could be true. But one thing I do know about men is that if a man is with a woman that he cares about, he listens to her opinion. And if a woman is insistent about something, had she been insistent about one, not going there, or after she was there, not feeling comfortable, he would have left. It's unlikely for me to think that she did not know something could jump off if she posts their location. I'm sure she has done it in the past, posting their location when they've done things out together. And maybe nothing happened in those instances. Maybe she just liked the intrigue of violence, and maybe it turns her on. Some women are like that. From what I heard, he had a previous altercation several hours before he went to eat. So he may have been hyped already. Now, obviously, I can't say that she knew what the outcome would be. But I think she knew something would go down once she posted it. And that, I think, is careless. It's careless for her because if she cares about the man, it's someone that she should not want to see harm come to. And the fact that they have a child together, you would want to see that child have a father for a long time. Again, for me, I would say this is a lesson for us men to learn from. That probably next to your career, which you'll invest a lot of time in to build and get established, choosing the woman that's going to be by your side, to be your mate, to be your wife, and even at the stage to be your girlfriend. The wrong choice can cost you your life. And that's the reality in life at this point. And another thing I'd like to say about this subject, you know, I'm not big into rap, but I do pay attention to the news and I watch as much stuff as I can when I'm free on YouTube. And I hear a lot of stuff that goes down, and I see a lot of these young guys, which to me it seems as though so many young people want to have street cred, acting as though that they're street smart, when in reality they're not. The bottom line is, street skills come over time. You don't pick it up in a year or two. You got to grow up in an environment. Things your friends teach you or you learn, you pick up from older guys when you're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You're picking up from guys that are 16, 17, 18, 19. Sometimes some old heads may drop some wisdom on you. You witness shit that go down. There's a lot that goes into becoming street smart. And to be honest, I mean, it's like our community has now become like the wild, the jungle. And I do mean the wild because one misstep, one error can cost you. And in the past year, it seems like a good half a dozen rappers have bit the dust. And some of them, though they may have been trying to do something nice, good, you know, going into the hood once you have already made it out seems to be a decision that is perilous. It leads to their demise. And to be honest, people that have street skills, even if you flow in different parts of the country, you know how to move, especially when you're in foreign, non home territory that is perceived as dangerous or could be dangerous. And it appears that this young brother just did not have those skills. So I would say this as my personal advice to whoever may watch this stream at a later date, or even if you're watching it now, catching it live. Stop perpetrating a fraud. Stop perpetrating a fraud, because the streets will test you. And those tests, when you fail, the outcome is usually not good. Now, I'm going to move on from that particular issue, but there is another story I'd like to cite. I'm not going to go into it too much in detail. If you want to see the entire story, Pink Book Lessons, she did a nice presentation about this earlier. And it's about a young woman, I think Tavia Chapman is her name. She's from Ohio, either 23 or 24 years old. And about a month ago, while going shopping, her and her boyfriend, he left his phone in the car and she decided to scroll through it. In doing so, she came across some messages between her boyfriend and her sister that she believed that they might have been doing something. Unfortunately, the way in which she decided to resolve or handle this situation, I think lends itself to the topic of today's conversation. First, she had an altercation or brief argument inside of the supermarket. And then later, I guess she went back outside and she waited for her boyfriend to come out. Now, she had her 8-month-old daughter in the back of the car or van. And when the boyfriend was coming out the front door, she stepped on the gas in an attempt to run him over. Ironically, at the same time, there was an older white man going inside the store at the same time. She hit both of them. Her boyfriend, I believe, got a broken leg. The old white man never recovered. He wasn't that old. He was only 58, but he had recently also gotten hit when he was on his motorcycle by a vehicle, had been paralyzed from his neck down. So that had to have happened at least maybe a year or two ago, because he had recovered and he was walking. He was walking with a cane, but yet he was walking. Now this young lady is facing life in prison. Murder 1 is the charge. Attempted murder, I guess, for trying to run over her boyfriend. Child endangerment for running off and leaving the baby in the car after she ran them over. She has so much of a past for proving herself to be violent. She was caught smacking up her 7-year-old daughter, hitting her in the face. She refused to return custody of a 4-year-old to his father, which I'm assuming is a different father than the one she was with as a boyfriend. So it seems that she's a piece of work. She's very violent, have little or no emotional control. But these are the everyday situations and incidents that are occurring in the hood daily in the community. And it seemed like our first and only methodology to resolve, whether it's betrayal, the appearance of betrayal, or some other slight that someone have done to one of us, it's like we choose violence first.